Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param. Om. Dear friends, we have come to a very interesting part of the 5th chapter of the Bhagwad Gita. Each verse is so delightfully beautiful that one verse and reflecting on the message of each verse is enough of a spiritual message for us. For a few seconds, I would like you to do an open eye meditation. Sachin, please mute everybody, and I'll unmute myself. For a moment, let us do open eye meditation. Become aware of your body posture. See that you are aware of every part of your body from the tip of the toe to the top of the head. Assume a position of comfort. As far as possible, do not move. Become aware of the comfort or the discomfort of your body. Become aware of your breathing. Become aware of the tremendous opportunity that we have to be able to learn the essence of the Bhagwad Gita sitting in the comfort of the home. Certainly, we have been blessed by all the great acharyas to get this great opportunity. The opening verse will be done by Karthik. Karthik, it is your time. You can begin.
Thank you, Doctor. Yeah, the 5th chapter, this is the central theme that we have reached upon, the central theme of the chapter about Gnana Yoga. Previously, we saw in the beginning, we saw in, I think, 13, we saw that Atma is neither a karta nor an instigator even through that Navadvare Pure Shloka and Na Karma Phalam Samyogam Shloka. Then we saw that Atma is Abhokta through the Nachaiva Sakrutam Vibhuhu Shloka. Then we saw about the sun, the comparison with the sun, Aditya Vagnanam Shloka. Then here we are talking about the stages of sadhana, Gnana Yoga sadhana. So having revealed that Gnana reveals the truth that Atma is Brahman, Krishna goes on to say these. I mean, there is a very a series of emphatic use of words in this shloka. And in each of these 4 words, there are 4 words that are going to be used, and each of these, it starts with Tat. Tat means that. That means Brahman. That is a formula in Vedanta. So, Tat Buddhaya, Tadatmanaha, Tannishtaha, Tat Parayanaha. These are the 4 words. Because of this knowledge that Atma is Brahman, the wise become Tat Buddhaya, Tadatmanaha, Tannishtaha, and Tat Parayanaha. Then he goes on to say that all of their impurities with the knowledge is destroyed, and when they go, that is meaning when they die, they do not return again. So that is the essence of the shloka, and there is an order to be noted in those 4 words. And Paramarthananda Swami has given us these 4 stages, so to speak. So in the first stage, the sadhaka recognizes the value of the pursuit to have the obsession. Obsession is the tivra mumukshatva, which we have been seeing in all the Upanishads and stuff. That is my own higher self. That is Tat is the goal of my life. This amounts to identifying with the higher self or Atma or Brahman instead of Ahankara. Parayana means the ultimate end. That is the real home, the destination. And for those whom the ultimate end is Brahman or Tat are called Tat Parayana. Knowing that Brahman is Atma is the goal that they have to accomplish. And now that they have this knowledge, there is no other goal, or no more goals. Before defining this goal, there are different goals. I mean, Artha, Kama, Dharma even is a goal. either here or later on in Swarga or heaven and so on. But for the wise, that is for the Tadatmanaha, there is no other goal other than Brahman. This is one, Tadatmanaha, Tatparayanaha. Then in the second stage, after one recognizes this new direction, that is this new goal he has given himself, he goes through Karma Yoga and then studies Shastra to get Gnana. Remember, we are still in this Gnana Yoga, not Gnana. So he is called Tad-Buddhaya. That is, he who is awake, literally, to Brahman. Tad-Buddhis are those whose Buddhi is in Brahman, meaning that the Buddhi is awake to the knowledge of Atma being Brahman. In Brahman, their Buddhi is rooted. The intellect is rooted. Previously, the Buddhi was awake only to Anatma, that is our Ahankara. When the Buddhi is awake only to Anatma, it is always concerned with Artha and Kama, because the I always feels small and has to be boosted up. Only then can the person feel good. Everything is centered on feeling good, and that is necessarily dependent upon a number of external, physical, and psychological factors. Therefore, the Ahankara always holds on to these factors, which are all Anatmas. However, for the Tad-Buddhaya, those who are awake to Brahman, whose Buddhi is in Brahman, everything is Brahman alone. The Buddhi is Brahman, the mind is Brahman, the body is Brahman, everything is Brahman alone. Therefore, the Buddhi is never away from Brahman. Go where it will, the Buddhi is always in Brahman alone. Now, for those for whom the self is Brahman, why are these people called Tad-Buddhis? Because for them, the Atma is Brahman. They are Tadatmanaha. However, their identification was incorrect. Previously, there was an identity crisis. In fact, the entire study is how to handle this identity crisis. The body, mind, intellect, memory, and so on were Atma. History was Atma, biology was Atma, hair, skin, I'm Indian, I'm old, I'm young, everything was Atma. And everything was based on this problem of defining the I notion. This shloka says that for the wise, the notion, this is I, is totally negated, and the I is recognized as Atma, that which is not limited in any way and which is truth, which is the basis of the entire world. The Jagat is understood as Mithya by this person. Mithya being that which is dependent on Satya, while Satya is self-existent. Am I done?
Yes, yes. Yes,
Sorry.
Kiran. Yes, Karthik.
Sorry. Okay.
You want to conclude?
Yeah, just one thing.
Yes, yes.
By Tad-Buddhaya is meant those who have their intellect absorbed in that. Tadatmanaha is meant the maturity of Nididhyasana, which leads to cessation of Viparita Bhavana. By
So like 6:30 is the exam, right? 6:30 to 6:30.
I'm sorry. Sorry. Continue. Please continue.
By Tanishtaha is meant Vedanta Vichara in the form of Shravana and Manana, which is preceded by, remember the fourth chapter, renunciation of all actions. Then Tatparayanaha, of course, is the intensity of detachment. And men who have these qualities attain the state of no return, since their impurities in the form of karma phala have been removed by knowledge. Thank you. And sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Karthik. Dr. Anupama, it's your time for another beautiful verse. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is verse 18. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. The key word is Samadarshinaha. Jnana Yoga culminates in Videha Mukti as Phalam. Now, how do these jnanis visualize the truth, the tattvam? This is described here. A jnani continues to confront and experience the world not with his eyes shut or by dying, but by displacing anatma darshanam with atma darshanam. This is the Vedantic method of moksha. A jivan mukta sees sarvatra sama atma darshanam. Once ripened in jivan mukti, videha mukti becomes irrelevant. When everything is Brahman, who is there to escape from what? Okay, while practicing sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, we have to develop viveka, vairagya, etc. How do we do this? For vairagya, we take dosha darshanam sarvatra. Doshas are dukkha mishritam, etc. Once we enter Vedantic Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, this sadhana has to change. Dosha darshana becomes an obstacle to sarvatra brahma darshana. Therefore, during adhyaropa time, we use dosha darshanam. At apavada time, we remove this dosha darshana and replace it with atma or brahma darshana. Now, what is meant by vidya vinaya sampanne? Vidya means paravidya, self-knowledge. Vinaya means upashamaha, humility or quietude. Sampanna means full or rich with vidya and vinaya. That is an embodiment of all Daivi Sampattis of chapter 16. That is extreme sattva guna. The other end of this spectrum is the shvapake, the dog meat eater. This represents extreme tamas and extreme cruelty. This is the nature of our universe, and no logical explanation is ever available. But we can accept them all, the Brahmana, the Gavi, the Hastini, the Shuni, the Shvapake, all as equal by seeing them as mithya from the Paramarthika Drishti. Therefore, Panditas, the wise people, have Samadarshana, that is Guna Atita Atma Darshana. Now, how can Sattva, Rajo, Tamo Gunas all be the same? Gunas belong to Nama Rupa Prapancha. The substratum Brahma is Guna Atita. The entire Drishya Prapancha is Anatma. Based on the explanation in Drik Drishya Viveka, the 5 components of the universe are Asti, the easiness of the world, that is Sat; Bhati, the awareness, the Chit; third, the potential Ananda, joys from arrival of objects, etc., the Priyam. These 3 belong to the non-variable Atma. The 4th and 5th, Nama and Rupa, belong to the variable Anatma. So, while experiencing the variables, the Nama and Rupa, not losing sight of the non-variable is called Samadarshana. Now, who are these Samadarshinis or Panditas? Samam drushtum shilam esham te Samadarshinaha. Drushtum means those aware of what? Samam. Samam is the non-variable, the ekam, the non-dual, avikriyam, the non-changing, asprishtam, untouched by vasanas born out of sattva, rajo and tamogunas, and asangam. Shilam means habituated. That means irrespective of whether prarabdham is favorable or not. That means they are nishta in this belief. Now, just think about this. Even as anger rages through his mind, he knows that this emotion is Nama Rupa, while he is Asti Bhati Kriya. That is asprishtam, untouched by this raging anger. This Vedantic Nididhyasanam is the Samadarshana of a Pandita. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We were wondering whether we were listening in English or Sanskrit.
Oh.
Good. Anyway, it was a nice explanation and a very profound explanation of what looks like a very simple mantra. Thank you. We go to Vidya. Vidya, it's your time.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Ihaiva tairjitaha sargo esham samye sthitam manaha nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te sthitaha. This verse is important from a particular angle. In philosophy, there is one commonly discussed matter whether liberation is while living or after death. So normally it is understood as after death, via Swarga Loka Prapti, Vishnu Loka Prapti or Shiva Loka Prapti. But in Advaitam, liberation is possible here and now. In this particular verse, Krishna clearly says that one gets freedom iha eva. Iha means here, now, and here and now itself. Then who will get this liberation? Tehi sargaha jitaha, by the people of abheda drashti, samadrashtihi. Taihi here means samadrashtihi or jnanivihi. Sargaha, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jananam, cycle or Samsaraha, Jitaha, conquered. So samsara is conquered by the jnanis here and now. So here this means samsara does not affect them. Here Swami Param's common example of wave and ocean holds good. So if a mortal wave can claim as the eternal immortal water, then the wave is an enlightened wave. So in the same manner, if we can shift our perspective from this body-mind complex to the all-pervading eternal consciousness, then I am no more subject to birth and death. So just as in sleep, I'm not transacting through the body. During sleep, my transaction ends. In the same manner, but I continue to survive. In the same manner, during death, I will stop transaction through this body, but I am surviving. And therefore, the fear of mortality is gone. Therefore, Krishna says, Sargaha Jitaha, mortality or samsara is won over by them. Yesham Manaha Samye Sthitam. By whom will this be done? Will this be conquered? By whose mind is established in Samadarshinaha. Even a momentary slip from this understanding will lead one to samsara. So therefore, the mind should have the nishta, Samye Sthitam, established in sameness. Then what is the nature of this Sama Vastuhu? Sama Brahma. Sama means the same inherent entity which is in everyone. That is called Brahman or Chaitanyam. The common factor in all of us is I am, I being the Sat, Chit principle, am the Sat principle. So therefore, Samavastu, which is called Brahman or consciousness, which is in and through every living being, and this Brahma is Anantam, and this Anantam Brahma is the uniform thread which is inherent in all the people, and the nature of that Brahman is Nirdosham, flawless, pure and secure. So we have to use this ever impure body, but have to own up the Atma. Therefore, Brahmani Sthitaha, Jnanis are established in Brahman. So the process of discovering our higher self has to take place in two stages. First stage, I am not the body-mind complex, but I am the all-pervading consciousness. Anatma Vyatirikta Atma Sarupa Ahamasmi, Kshetra Vyatirikta Kshetrajna Ahamasmi. This is the first stage of discovery. Then comes the second important stage where I discover the fact that I, the consciousness who am pervading this physical body, is the same consciousness which is pervading all other bodies also. Therefore, the bodies are many, but the pervading consciousness is one. And that non-dual pervading consciousness is I am. And this discovery will help me see the world as I see myself. Having discovered this beautiful inner nature, a wise man will never like to come down to the perishable, incidental, superficial body nature. Therefore, Krishna said, Nirdosham hi samam brahma tasmad brahmani te sthitaha. Having discovered the pure I, wise people or jnanis abide in that I only. They take care of the physical body as the Lord's property, but are not obsessed with the incidental, superficial, mortal nature. The reason being, Nirdosham Brahma or Sama Brahma Aham Asmi. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Vidya. Very clear presentation of a very important verse. We go to Indu. Indu, it is your time to start.
Audible?
Very clear. Go ahead.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Na prahrashet priyam prapya, nodvijet prapya cha priyam, sthira buddhira sammudho, brahmavit brahmani sthitaha. Priyam prapya na prahrashet. He never rejoices obtaining something pleasant. Na udvijet. He never gets disturbed. Apriyam prapya. He is not agitated. Sthira buddhihi, he has a steady intellect. Asam mudaha, one who is firmly situated. Brahmavit, having a firm understanding of divine knowledge. He is a Brahmagnani. Brahmani sthitihi, he is established in God. Having a firm understanding of the divine knowledge, he is not hampered by delusion. He neither rejoices in getting something pleasant nor grieves on experiencing the unpleasant. He just remains as a witness. In chapter 2 and verse 14, we have seen Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya, Shitoshna Sukha Agama Paino Nitya. Matra Sparshastu, when our sense organs comes in contact with the materialistic objects in the outside world, we experience Shita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukkha, success, failure, and so on. So when he experiences these dvandvas, he knows that they are agama apayino. They come and they go. They appear and disappear. And they are anitya too. They are not permanent. They are temporary. The person of steady intellect is never deluded. The knower of the eternal essence is established in the eternal essence, but the wise person has transcended the ego. Lord Krishna here advises Arjuna that one must maintain composure under all circumstances of life. A realized master looks at the world with a different standpoint. Gain or loss, it does not affect him. Just as the ocean is not at all disturbed or bothered about the waves, na praharishyet. His joy is also independent. He does not depend upon anything. It does not depend upon the world outside. Sthira buddhihi. His intelligence is firm. Sarva bhuteshu ekaha samaha. It is free from doubts and same everywhere with everyone. It's very clear. Just as a reed on the waves will be tossed up and down by the waves, a lighthouse built upon firm rocks always remains upright and changeless, allowing even the stormy waves to exhaust their anger at its feet. Sri Krishna's arguments are thus logically sound when he declares that a mortal among us who can maintain his equanimity under all conditions is indeed one who has contacted the divine and the eternal in himself. He indeed rests in Brahman. Resting in Brahman with steady intellect and undeluded, he neither rejoices nor grieves on obtaining the pleasant and the unpleasant. The reason for this is a man of true inward culture discovers in himself, in his own wisdom, a balance and equipoise which cannot be shattered very easily. His intellect is steady, all his delusions have ended. He, having dropped all illusions, becomes the instrument for knowing Brahman, and one who knows Brahman becomes Brahman himself. He is now Brahmavit, knower of Brahma, because self and Brahma are the same. Brahman is Stitaha, he is Brahma. He has realized that I am not body, I am not mind, I am not intellect, but I am Brahma. This conviction or decision is there. So now he is Brahmavit, Brahmani Stitaha. This is the grand state of the realized master. Brahma is another name for Atma. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Indu. Very important verse, very clearly presented. Now you can see how the Bhagwad Gita is almost speaking like Upanishad. You will see the Upanishadic verses here. Dr. Rekha, it's your time.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In verse 21, Lord Krishna starts leading us towards the topic of meditation and turning oneself inward, away from the sense objects of the world. And this is the first step towards meditation. Coming to the verse itself, Bahya Sparsheshva Asaktatma Vindati Atmani Yet Sukham Sa Brahma Yogas Suktatma Sukham Akshayam Ashnute. The word meaning of the first line, Bahya Sparsheshwa in external sense pleasures, Asakta Atma, one who's not attached, Vindati enjoys, Atmani in the self, Yat that which, Sukham happiness. In this verse, Lord Krishna talks about the Jnani's Ananda, the joy of fulfillment which he derives from his own higher nature or Atmananda. He has learned to tap his own Purnatvam for fulfillment. Swami Param gives the example of someone who has sweet water underground in his own compound, which he accesses by digging a bore well, so that he can enjoy it and not depend on the external city's piped water supply, which can go dry at any time. So obviously, such a person is a sthita prajna, because when there's trouble or a strike in the corporation, he continues to get an uninterrupted supply of water. Similarly, we have a source of ananda within ourselves, which is like good borewell water, and that is our own Swarupam. A Jnani is not attached, that is, he neither hates nor loves. Asakta Atma, he neither hates nor loves the sense pleasures of external objects, and that is Bahya Sparsheshwa. For example, he can enjoy a good dinner, but he doesn't crave it or obsess over it. In reality, a Jnani does not really miss any of the pleasures of the world. Lord Krishna says this is because the Atmananda, being infinite, is more than the sum of all the lower order Anatma Anandas, like sense pleasures, taken together. Because those are always finite, and the sum of finite never equals infinite. The second line, Sa Brahma Yoga Yuktatma Sukham Akshayam Ashnate. So Lord Krishna says the Jnani has a mind, here Atma, that is associated with Brahman. And Brahma Yoga here means Brahma Jnanam, the knowledge that I am Brahman. This knowledge itself is an eternal, infinite, perennial source of Ananda, and Swami Param calls this UAS, for uninterrupted Ananda supply, analogous to UPS, which ensures that the Jnani is ever happy, even when the Anatma Anandas are not available. Such a person is psychologically independent with respect to inner fulfillment, and he has in fact an Akshaya Patra of Ananda within himself. Akshayam Sukham Ashnute. So a mind thus turned inward can then proceed on its spiritual journey. Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Dr. Rekha. Very clear. I mean, by your explanation, now we know the meaning of this mantra, even for a person who is not prepared into, with nice examples. And within the time allotted, that is the real challenge that all of us have. You know, if all the time in the world is available, but now we make an exercise to put the limited amount of words. Thank you. We go to the next speaker, Dr. Sandhya.
Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkayonaya yevate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. O Arjuna, those pleasures which are born of contact are indeed sources of sorrow only, because they have a beginning and an end. The wise person does not revel in them. So here in the next two verses, that is verse 22 and 23, Krishna talks about the discipline or the sadhana that is required for self-knowledge. And what is the sadhana? The sadhana is that the person should withdraw the senses from the external world of objects. So Krishna points out and explains to Arjuna how sense objects and their joys are finite in nature, so they do not enchant a wise man. All of us are completely engrossed in what is called Vishaya Sukha. So there is this universal problem of samsara, bondage, and the objects of the sense organs are called Vishaya. And these are capable of giving us bhoga or sukham, but actually in the process causing dukkham or sorrow. In this verse, samsparsha is the interaction, and jaha is that which is born out of. So samsparshaja is that which is born out of contact. To understand this, we have to go back to these 5 sense organs, which are the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, and 5 sense objects, which are Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So just the sense organs or the sense objects alone cannot give us pleasure. There must be some sort of a contact between the two to make us enjoy the samsparsha, samsparsha jabhoga. That is Indriya Vishaya Samsparsha jabhoga. So first of all, whenever we seek the organs of, the sense objects, when we go after these sense objects, there is some kind of an effort on our part. And even if there has to be an association for us to enjoy that pleasure. And even if there is an association, it must be a good one. When we see something that appeals to us, for instance, the sight or the smell of it may delight us. And if that happens to be an edible one, and also if it's very hot, the minute we place it on our tongue, it may burn the tongue. So what is delightful to the sight and the smell, that is the eyes and the nose, is actually painful to the tongue. Next, how long will this association last? We all know that familiarity breeds contempt, disinterest, boredom. All of us have experienced it, endless watching of TV programs or different kinds of foods. And also if we desire something and we don't get it, there is dukkha. So once we attain it, we worry that we will lose it. Example, when people are very fond of gadgets and cars, or even pets for that matter. So we begin to understand all those pleasures, the bhogas are the source of sorrow because they have a beginning and the end. That is the Adyantavanta. So when the association, what is this beginning and the end? The Adi is when the sense objects associate with the sense organs. That results in the pleasure, bhoga. And when the sense objects dissociate with the sense organs, it is the anta, the end of pleasure. So we understand that everything around us is a mixture of pleasure or pain. That is the Vishaya. So whatever delight that we get from them are temporary and they occur only in the interval. That is the interval between the start of the association and the end. That is the Adi and the Anta. So Swami Param says, what is the solution to this problem that we face? If all the objects are a mixture of pleasure and pain, then we have to think of two situations and two options that arise out of it. One is where you seek the pleasures of attachment, possessions, you want it, but knowing well the pains that are associated with such pleasures, but you're not prepared to face the pain. The second one is the person who chooses to renounce everything. Even here, one has to experience a pain of loneliness, emptiness, insecurity, etc. So if one decides to have everything, then one should have the inner strength to withstand the pain. If one decides to take the path of renunciation, then he should discover Purnatva. So there are two options, two challenges, but only one solution, and that is self-knowledge or Atma Jnanam. So for this inner strength of Purnatvam, Krishna describes various disciplines throughout the Gita, most important being Atmanyevatmana Tushtaha in the second chapter. That is, when a man gives up all desires of the mind and himself delights in himself, he's a man of steady wisdom. And also later on, Indriyani Indriyartes Saha Prajna Pratishtita. When he completely withdraws his senses from the sense objects, his wisdom is steady. So the person who knows the limitations and nature of the bhoga or those pleasures, which are the origin of the dukkha, is referred to as buddhi or the jnani. And even the Isavasa Upanishad says, Tena Tyaktena Bhunjita. That is, renouncing this, support yourself and realize the supreme Brahman. So it is all about letting go and desiring nothing. For in self-knowledge, you have all. Self-knowledge frees the mind from the bonds of desire and liberates the will. Hari Om.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sandhya. A very nice explanation. We go to Dr. Sachin. It's your time.
Hari Om. So my verse goes this way. Shakno taiva yashodam prakasharira vimokshana kama krodho bhavam vegam sayuktasa sukhanara. So we all know that we are in the important two verses, that is 21 and 22, where in this Sannyasa Yoga chapter, the discipline has been told. And the next verses will be the benefits or phalam of Jnana Phalam. In this verse, the most important is Kama Krodha Bhavam Vegam. This is important words in this verse. So we all know, we are all having this emotional turmoils. Whenever we get something, we are proud about it. And whenever we lose that things, because we are attached to it, we get krodha, the aversion or angriness, whatever we have, the emotions. So these two emotions, kama, krodha, is very important because this will disturb our mind. And why are we doing all this learning, understanding literature is to get happiness. The happiness will come with peace, security, and eternal bliss. So with this emotional disturbance, mind is disturbed, our intellect will not be opened up for any kind of understanding. So here, we always have these spectacles of Krama and Krodha, and that's why we see the world around us in the way this spectacle shows us. Example given by Swamiji here is, he says, in a house, in the family, there are youngers who will want to listen Western music. And suppose Western music is played, the people are jumping and enjoying the tune. But the same tune for 1 year is joyous, whereas it is very much hurting for the old people who like Indian classical music. So now, would you complain that the music is good or bad? Absolutely not. Similarly, would you complain for your anger or happiness that the world is bad? Absolutely not. So what we should do? So he has mentioned that now and here we should give up this anger and krodha and kama, the attachment and desires, because until unless you leave this now and here, you can't be disciplined. He has given one more example that with this type of emotional mind, what will happen if a dog barks in the front of any classes, people will not mistake him for anything. But a human being, if he starts behaving like a dog and he speaks in that way, and after speaking in that form, he regrets. And then next day he again comes and speaks the same way. Then in this line he has told, Yah eva, he has mentioned here clearly that Yah nara. So in Sanskrit we say nara va means is this a human person? And if you see nara va, if you repeat it, are you a vanara? The vanara's mind is always, our mind is like vanara, the monkey, who will be always jumping from one place to other, who's always tasting good and bad things. And this type of activity is not good for a Vedantin. So again, shall I go to the next slide, sir? So what he's Swamiji is telling here is, you have to control these two things, remove the spectacles of kama and krodha, then only you will become a sukhi naraha. So if you don't become, then you will be always unhappy. Finally, if you don't have self-management, if you don't have self-mastery on the discipline, on your mind, then how will you have the self-knowledge? If you don't have self-knowledge, how will you have the self-realization? Only when you have self-realization, you can go for God realization. And only when you go for God realization, you will have the ultimate ananda. That is the ultimate blissful state, or UAS, Swamiji says, ultimate uninterrupted ananda source. That's what is said in this verse. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sachin, for a nice explanation, and also for keeping to time, and also keeping time for everybody.
Thank you, sir.
At this, everyone, Hari Om. Verse number 24. Yonta sukhontararamah tathantar jyotirevayah sayogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhutodhigacchati. So in the preceding verses, which was so nicely presented by Dr. Sandhya and Dr. Sachin, we saw that Krishna discusses mental preparation that is required for Dhyanam. And from this verse number 24 onwards, he starts talking about Jnana Phalam. Without a mental preparation or emotional soundness, seeker will not have Samatvam. Samatvam is
mental balance or equanimity. And until samatvam is obtained, jnanam will remain elusive. A jnani who has samatvam will be happy with many things around him and without anything around him, which means that for a jnani, happiness does not depend upon external things. Material objects become immaterial for him. And once samatvam and consequently jnanam is obtained, what will the jnana phalam be? This verse describes it. So let us take a look at the first line of verse 24. Yaha antah sukhaha. Yaha is a jnani. Antah sukhaha is happiness within. Antararamaha rejoices from within. For a jnani, there is no external requirement for entertainment. His recreation comes from within. Tatha antarjyotireva yaha. Tatha is and. Antarjyotireva. He becomes aware of his own light from within, that is, the consciousness within. So in the first line, a jnani has discovered his inner joy. He rejoices from within and enjoys his own radiance because he has discovered his own true nature. So what happens to such a jnani? The second line tells us. The second line is sa yogi, that wise person or jnani. In this instance, a yogi does not denote a person who is doing yoga or is meditating. It stands for a wise person. Brahma Nirvanam discovers that he is not just the body-mind complex, but he is that Chaitanya or true consciousness. Such a jnani realizes that he is full, he is complete, he is secure, he is peaceful, and he is happy from within. He is Satchidananda. And for such a yogi or jnani, Brahma Bhuto Adhigachati. He becomes one with Brahman. So this verse basically tells us about jnana phalam. That is, a jnani or a yogi discovers that he is beyond body-mind complex. He finds happiness from within. He rejoices from within, finds his own inner light or consciousness within, that is Purnatvam, and then becomes one with Brahman. Such a jnani, when embodied, is a Jivan Mukta, and when unembodied, is a Videha Mukta. Thank you very much. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thanks, Meena. As usual, a very crisp and direct explanation, clear explanation of this mantra. And I wish to thank all the speakers for keeping to time. We enjoyed this evening's Gita experience. I will formally conclude. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.